it's Geraldine. Today I'm going to be sharing you some of the top songs of the year 1980 that I really love. And you'll see I really love these because I actually have these in my record collection, so please let me know if you have these in your collection as well. We're doing this in no particular order, so the first one is by the band Blondie. So in the beginning of the year of 1980, the American Gigolo soundtrack was released, and the theme song of this movie is Call Me by Blondie. I've always enjoyed how Blondie mixes new wave with power pop and like punk all at the same time, and this song really shows all of that. I really love the beat of the song. It just like drives the song forward, and Debbie Harry's vocals are always amazing. I love her voice so much. Her voice is very powerful, so I love that it matches this song perfectly. Not only can her voice be like really in your face, but it also can have a very like heavenly and like light quality when she does her like ooze. Sorry, I cannot sing, but her ooze throughout the song, which if you heard the song you can definitely see that. Just the whole package of the song is so fun, and I always catch myself singing along to it. Next we have a song by a super iconic band, and that is Queen. Here I have the single for the song Crazy Little Thing Called Love. This song was actually released at the end of 1979, but the actual song was included in their album The Game. This was released in June of that year. This album also had a very huge hit, another one, Bites the Dust, but today I'll just be talking about Crazy Little Thing Called Love because I like that one slightly a little bit more. But the reason I love this song so much is because I love the influence of rockabilly 1950s sound that this song has. Freddie Mercury's voice is always spectacular, and he was able to really capture that Elvis Presley-esque type sound, and it just matches the song perfectly. But I really love how they were able to really capture that sound and put it out in the 80s. The song is very catchy, and it really shows Queen's versatility and how they were able to really do anything. Next, we're heading over to some new wave. Here I have the single of Whip It by Devo. This single was released in their album Freedom of Choice in May of that year. Whenever I explain why I love certain songs to people I know in real life, I'm always like, oh, I like it because it has this really interesting noise, or like this random little riff, or something interesting about it. And I feel like this song has a whole bunch of those just mixed together, and it just comes together perfectly. So this song, but the band in general, is very bizarre and quirky, and this song is a great example of their quirkiness. I love the very sort of robotic voice that is throughout the song, with like all the sound effects in the background. Whip it, they're literally making whipping noises in the back. Not only do I like strange sounds, I love strange lyrics, which you can always find in a Devo song. Step on a crack, break your mama's back. Just a very fun listen. I think everybody knows that song. It's just so iconic. Next, we're moving into a little bit of a reggae sound with The Police. In the year 1980, they released their album Zenyatta Mondada towards the end in October. So for the song I'm talking about today, because this album has a whole bunch of really great ones, I'm talking about Don't Stand So Close to Me. My most favorite thing about this song is the drumming. It mostly like drives the whole song, and you can really really notice it and pay attention to it. Of course, that's also paired with Sting's very unique and interesting vocals that are very like reggae inspired, and this sounds really cool. The chorus is pretty minimalist, you could say, because it just says don't stand so close to me, but his voice just makes it so interesting and catchy. So I'm a very big fan of how this song sounds. I'm not too much of a fan about what it actually talks about. It's kind of weird, but I can't deny that it's a great sounding song. Next, if we are referring to the 80s, I feel like you always have to include a great power ballad. So next, from REO's Speedwagon, I have the song Keep On Lovin' You off their album High Infidelity, which was released towards the end in November. This song is pretty iconic because if you know the song, you can immediately recognize it by the opening piano chords that it just comes out with. And I really love how the song just builds and builds until like a very emotional chorus that just makes you want to sing along to and belt out like crazy, which I always do. It just does such a good job at building up to like this moment, and I just can't get enough of it. I've been listening to the song a lot lately, so I was very happy to see that this was released in 1980 and I could talk about it. Next, for a song that is a bit polarizing, I feel, because whenever I post about them, I feel like people who grew up back then either really hate them or they like enjoy the song, but I really love it and this is my video, so I'm showing it here, and that is Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles. That song was actually released as a single in the late 1979, but it was released on their album The Age of Plastic in the beginning of that year. If you were not aware, this song, well, its music video was the first music video to ever be played on MTV, so that's pretty iconic in itself. I think this song is so cute. And of course, like I previously mentioned, I love little interesting sounds, and this is full of them. When you're listening to the song and following along with the lyrics, sometimes they'll like say something in the song and it'll make a little sound in reference to what they're talking about. So I really like that. So there's just like a whole bunch of little sound bits that I love. So like he mentions like Second Symphony, and then all of a sudden you hear like a little symphony playing, little notes, and just a lot of really cool synth noises. I love anything with synth, so that's why I love this. I think it's also pretty funny that this song is called Video Killed the Radio Star, and this was the first video played on MTV. Kind of funny to think about that. But I really love when songs talk about technology, and this song does that. This song just has so many qualities that make me love it so much, so that's why it is here. Next, we have a song by the artist The Alan Parsons Project. The song is Games People Play off of their album The Turn of a Friendly Card, which was released in November towards the end of the year. I freaking love this song so much. It is so catchy and hypnotic. I always sing along to it. I feel like this whole song is an experience, which is what I find often in all Alan Parsons Project songs. I really like how there's like this repeating synth in the background throughout the song, and then when it comes into the chorus, it like changes just because it adds a whole bunch of instruments to it. And I really love how smooth this song is sung. It's just so good. And then like towards the end where there's like no singing, they have like this very atmospheric sound that it sort of reminds me of like being in space, and then they like add these like random little noises that sound like animals or like something chittering, like a little alien chittering in the background that I love. Just a really great song. I love it so much. Definitely check it out if you've never listened to it, but I'm pretty sure you have because it was huge. But after this video, I'm probably gonna put this on so I can sing along to it. Next, we have a super duper iconic band. When I posted my previous video showing my 80s essential records you should have in your record collection, you know, I mostly focused on new wave because I love new wave. And people were like mentioning bands that I should have mentioned, and one of the bands was AC/DC. So here we have their album Back in Black. This was released in July of that year. It had some major hits, but today we're going to talk about my favorite off of this album, which is You Shook Me All Night Long. I think that song is the perfect sounding rock song. Like if you were to think about the most perfect rock songs, I believe this is one of them. Not only does it have like the perfect amount of rock and roll, it also is very upbeat. I can imagine being in an AC/DC concert back then and just like being so hyped with everybody in the crowd singing to this. So I wish I could have experienced that, but alas, I cannot. I'll have to settle with just blasting it here on my stereo system. Next, for probably my favorite song out of all the songs I'm showing you today, and it is by the band The B-52s, I have the single of Private Idaho, which was released on their album Wild Planet in August of that year. This is another example of me loving random little sounds in songs. But before I tell you the little random sounds I like in this song, I really love how freaking upbeat this song is. Whenever I put it on, I always have to dance to it and move around here. Right here where I'm sitting, I'm dancing like crazy to it. I've always been a fan of guitars that sound very like surf rock, which they always usually have, and I love anything that has like crazy lyrics, and the B-52s, they always have that. I really enjoy how this song starts. There's like a whole bunch of hoo-hoo-hoos. In the beginning, it reminds me of a little monkey, and I love monkeys, so that's why I love that part of the song. And then it just has very interesting lyrics, like my favorite lyric. Let me quote it. On the ground like a wild potato. Where else are you gonna find a song where it's talking about being a wild potato? And probably my most favorite part of the song is right before the chorus. There's like a little melody that it plays right before. It might be like a little riff, and it sounds like the Twilight Zone theme song, but a mix with like an Austin Power cutscene, which I really enjoy. I really love just how weird it is, but it's also a very fun listen, so that's why I really love that song. Next, for a song that has been stuck in my head for like the past couple weeks, and that is by Diana Ross. We have the song Upside Down. That song was released on the album Diana, which I do not own, but I do have it on this album, which is the soundtrack to the movie Endless Love. And the soundtrack has a bunch of songs off of that album, so I thought it was appropriate to show this. But the album Diana was released in May of that year, and I think Upside Down is so irresistible and super infectious. I always want to like dance to it when I'm listening to it. The song is just super groovy, and her voice just goes perfectly along with it. The bass line is so good. It's perfection. I love everything about it. Of course, anything that Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards touch is always gold to me. So I love that song so much. So that's why it is here. For the next song, we have What I Like About You by The Romantics. This was released on their album The Romantics in the beginning of January of that year. I love how upbeat the song is, and I always want to sing along to this as well. I really love how they were able to like sort of emulate this like youthful rock style from like the 60s, where a lot of garage rock was going on back then, and I feel like it translated perfectly into this 80s scene now. I really love how this song is just sung, and like what it's singing about is just very fun listen. I of course always love really interesting little sounds, so in the beginning, super iconic beginning, I think you could immediately recognize the song just by the uh-huh. Hey, ha ha ha. I love that part, and then at the end when it goes brrrm, I like the brrrm at the end. Brrrm. Okay, another bonus, since I'm somebody who was born in the late 90s, I feel like people around my age will understand this, but I always think of the movie Shrek with this song, so I'm pretty sure that was the first time I ever heard this song, to be honest. So yes, it reminds me of Shrek. I'm very excited about this next song because I think this song is just so upbeat and happy, and that is Let My Love Open the Door by Pete Townsend. You know, he's the guy from The Who. This song was released on the album Empty Glass in April. This song is just has the perfect mix of rock and pop, and he did such a good job of making a pop album. I'm also a sucker for a very cute love song, so that's what this is. I really love the intro of this song where it's like just a little synth, then a little riff, then the drums, and it just goes into his voice. I think it's so perfect. The song definitely doesn't sound a lot like him from like his like the Who days, but I think it matches the song perfectly. I really love how this whole song sounds. It just makes me very happy and puts a smile on my face when I'm listening to it. And I really love the lyrics. They're very cute, like I mentioned. Next, I have a song by Billy Joel. It is the song It's Still Rock and Roll to Me. I have the cool picture sleeve of the 45 single. This song was released on his album Glass Houses, which was released in March of that year. I really love how he sings in this song. It's pretty like sharp vocals, and it's sort of like singing but also like telling you, but it matches what the song is talking about, like changing trends and like changing music, but even if the music's different, it's still good music. So I think my most favorite part of this song is just like what he's talking about. He says, the new wave, it's still rock and roll to me, and new wave is definitely rock and roll to me. And going back to like the changing in styles, it reminds me of like your parents not really understanding what you like, but you basically telling them that, oh, it's just like the same thing that you were into, you know? So that's why I think that song is cool. Next, we have the single of Hit Me With Your Best Shot by Pat Benatar. This was released on her album Crimes of Passion, which was released in August of that year. That song is so iconic, like all these songs are, but I feel like if you were just to hear that guitar riff that is in this song, you would immediately know what song it is because it's just so unforgettable. It's definitely like a great 80s anthem. Pat Benatar's voice is so powerful and it goes perfectly with this song and really gives it that attitude. I think Pat Benatar is very cool. Just like her voice and who she is matches everything about this. It makes me want to go yell this song out to somebody. And for my last selection I'm sharing with you today, I have the song I Got You by the band Split Enz. That song was released on their album True Colors in January, so in the beginning of the year. I just really want to show you quickly how cool this vinyl record looks like. It is laser etched with all these really cool shapes and numbers. This is the only record I have like this, so I'm very happy to have this in my collection. This is definitely a new wave song, iconic new wave song at that. This song has like two different feelings throughout the song, so I really like when it like switches up. So like in the beginning it has like this sort of like droning synth and he's like singing pretty like not like monotone, but not as like excited. It literally looks like he's singing from the corner of a room, which I'm pretty sure in the music video he's literally in the corner of a room in the dark like moping around, so that's what it sounds like. And then all of a sudden it's like super duper upbeat and much more happy sounding, so I like how it goes from that to this and then it switches back to that and back to the upbeat again. So yeah, it's very interesting how it goes from that to like a very like upbeat and irresistible melody that you want to sing along to. And of course, like towards the end, it has this little like synth breakdown with a whole bunch of random little noises that go perfectly together. And you know me with my random little noises, I love that part a lot. So another new wave classic from the year 1980. So those are all the songs from the year 1980 that I'm sharing in this video. Of course, there's hundreds of songs that were released in that year, and I do not have every single album that was released in that year. So of course you probably think I'm missing something. So please let me know in the comments what are your favorite songs from the year 1980. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like. And if you would like to see more of my content, make sure to subscribe. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching.